This year, there are signs of a thaw in China-Australia relations. Media outlets like the Sydney Morning Herald have reported that in the first half of the year, major Australian chambers of commerce, business leaders, corporate representatives, and CEOs collectively embarked on visits to China with the aim of revitalizing bilateral ties. It's not just the business community, politicians have also taken active steps towards engaging with China. Figures like Trade Minister Farrell are encouraging a reconciliation with China, seeking to improve the previously strained relationship during the Morrison era, possibly to regain access to the Chinese market they had before. One of the most significant symbols of the thaw between China and Australia is the revival of coal trade between the two countries. Previously, as reported by Bloomberg, China has allowed all domestic companies to import Australian coal without restrictions, putting an end to the 3-year-long coal crisis between China and Australia. Additionally, data from the General Administration of Customs of China shows that in the first 2 months of 2023, China has imported 60.642 million tons of coal and brown coal products, marking a cumulative year-on-year growth of 70.8%. So, is this a compromise from China? What is the actual effect of the Australian coal ban in recent years? Why is China now allowing the import of Australian coal again? Is there a risk of blockade for China's coal imports? Hi. Welcome to my channel. Before we started today's video, please subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. Okay, let's get started. China's ban on Australian coal was issued at the end of 2020 and has been in effect for more than 2 years. So, what is the actual effect? According to Coalmint's shipping statistics, from January to December 2021, Australia exported 197 million tons of thermal coal and 165 million tons of coking coal, accounting for about 1/3 of the world's total coal sales. The most important of which is coking coal. Meanwhile, in 2021, the top 4 export markets for Australian coking coal were India, 56.01 million tons, up 28% year-over-year, Japan, 35.56 million tons, up 15% YOY, South Korea, 23.35 million tons, up 41% YOY, and Vietnam, 7.99 million tons, up 16% YOY. During the same period, China imported 0 coking coal from Australia. However, coal imports from Indonesia and Russia increased by 39% and 44% respectively YOY. So, what does this mean? According to data from the Australian Bureau of Statistics, Australia achieved a trade surplus of $4.31 billion in Q2 2022, not only marking the 13th consecutive quarter of trade surplus but also setting a new historical high record. In the 2021 to 2022 fiscal year, July 2021 to June 2022, Australia's coal exports exceeded $112 billion for the first time in history, with a YOY increase of 250%. This means that not only did Australia fill China's market share through markets such as India, Japan, South Korea, and Vietnam, but it also earned 2.5 times more money amid the rise in commodity prices. Meanwhile, China paid almost twice as much due to the ban. Of course, Russia is the happiest in this situation. As for why China is now lifting the ban, the answer is already straightforward. Australian coal is of good quality and cheap, and it benefits China more than it harms. Australian coal is of high quality and low in sulfur and ash, with high bondability, making it cheap. Although the price of Australian coking coal has risen by nearly $40 per tonne since late December 2022, the current price of Australian coking coal to the port is still $200 to $300 per tonne cheaper than similar quality main coking coal in China. More importantly, with weak foreign trade and sluggish domestic demand, boosting the economy can only be achieved through major infrastructure projects. Therefore, importing energy and raw materials such as coal and iron ore from Australia is more beneficial than harmful to China. Currently, Chinese-Australian trade is facing an important opportunity. China is expected to import 20 million tons of coal in 2024, while Australia's annual production is only about 24 million tons. A Chinese market can completely absorb Australia's mineral resources, making it impossible for Australia to detach from China, an important major customer. Therefore, the resumption of Australian coal imports to China is clearly in the interests of both China and Australia. China is the world's largest producer and consumer of coal, with imports reaching 290 million tons in 2022. If coal imports were cut off, would it have an impact? In short, it would not. China uses over 4 billion tons of coal per year, of which only 300 million tons are imported. Even if coal imports were completely stopped, it would not have a substantial impact, especially since the market share of Australian coal was filled by other countries such as Indonesia. The reason why many parts of China use imported coal is that China is the only major coal-producing country in the world with mostly underground mines and fewer open-pit mines, which has relatively high production costs. In addition, China's major coal-producing regions are located in the northern inland areas, far from the southern coastal provinces with large electricity and coal consumption, resulting in higher transportation costs. Therefore, the price of imported coal has been lower than that of domestic coal for a considerable period of time. However, with the U.S. Federal Reserve's nuclear-powered printing press in operation, prices for global commodities have skyrocketed. Chinese domestic coal enterprises have long-term contracts with coal producers, with prices far below market prices. Therefore, it has become common for domestic coal prices to be lower than imported coal prices. As the Federal Reserve raises interest rates, global commodity prices will fall, and the impact of importing Australian coal on China's domestic coal market will become even more limited. The power outage in northeastern China in the fall of 2021 was essentially due to the fact that power plants ran out of money. At that time, the price of 5,500 kilocalories coal rose from the usual 500 yuan to over 2,000 yuan, but power plants could not raise electricity prices, so they could not afford to buy coal. This has nothing to do with imported coal, as the surge in coal prices was caused by the U.S. printing too much money, and international coal prices were also high at the time. Importing coal could not solve the power plant's problem. China's final solution was for the National Development and Reform Commission to issue a directive requiring major state-owned coal enterprises to sign long-term contracts with state-owned power plants at a price of around 600 yuan, without a significant price increase, so the problem was solved. Finally, let me explain why the lack of 300 million tons of imported coal would not have an impact. Increasing coal production does not require upgrading equipment for coal mines, only a supernormal document is needed. In the early years of this century, when regulation was lax, it was common for coal mines designed to produce 3 million tons to actually produce 6 million tons. However, nowadays, large state-owned coal mining enterprises do not dare to do so for various reasons, and for safety reasons, they deliberately reduce production to lower the intensity of labor and wear and tear on machines to reduce the probability of accidents. In fact, China's total coal production capacity is about 5 billion tons, and in the event of a major disaster or war, only a document is needed to increase production. In short, China will allow all domestic companies to import Australian coal. These cost-effective coals can effectively meet the dual carbon targets, circulate within China's carbon trading system, and meet the needs of chemical and thermal coal. In the future, this kind of energy imports will decrease year by year. During the window period, Australia enjoys the dividends brought about by China's economic development. The opening time of this window period depends on many factors, among which political credit and national security factors are the cornerstones, followed by market supply and demand and value fluctuations. Australia should be positioned as an energy supplier port in China's industrial supply chain. China will leave this profit to Australia. Whether it can win the Chinese market depends on the choice of the Australian people. Okay, that's all for today. Please put your comments below, and share your insightful ideas with other people. Please keep following our channel and like our videos. Thank you so much for your continuous support. Your precious time with us is highly appreciated. See you.